All right, so we're going to continue Perek Shishi. This is the last chapter in Pirkei Avot. It's a separate chapter. Pirkei Avot consists of 5 Perakim. As I explained last week, the 6th one comes out that we read or learn before Chag HaShavuot. It deals with the acquisition of Torah. It's a beautiful Perek, and I think it's a very good idea that we are learning it in depth, because when people read through it, they don't really appreciate what is really being said over here. A lot of important ideas are being expressed here about the Torah. So we started off with the first Mishnah that speaks about the importance, the beauty, the greatness of Torah Lishma, learning Torah for its real sake, as opposed to just learning it as a body of knowledge, just to be knowledgeable, just to be learned. When one does something for its real sake, it has much more an effect on him. Not only, of course, is the mitzvah a greater mitzvah, not only is it purer, in the case of the Torah, it makes a world of a difference. Most people, unfortunately, do not reach that level of learning Torah Lishma, because it requires, of course, a lot more effort, it requires more focus, it requires more dedication. And nonetheless, it is something that is within the ability of everyone to achieve, to learn Torah for its real sake. And this, of course, is an important idea in any mitzvah, to do the mitzvah, to fulfill the command with the proper kavanah, in other words, that we should be properly focused on what we're doing, that we should realize the importance of what we're doing, that we should have in mind the right ideas of why we do something, not just to do it out of routine, not just to do it without any understanding of what we're doing. Ultimately, what we should have in mind, because of our limited knowledge, what we should have in mind, the common denominator in doing anything L'Shem Shamayim, is that we're doing this for the sake of heaven. Lishma also means for the sake of heaven, for the sake of its real purpose, the real tachlit of the Torah, what Hashem wanted us to learn. And one who is able to reach that level of learning Torah Lishma, we began to say, Zochel Dvarim Harbeh. He actually acquires many additional acquisitions besides the knowledge of the Torah, besides gaining so much vast knowledge in all aspects, in all areas of Torah. There are certain things that this does to his character. He becomes a different person, becomes a holier person. It molds him in a certain way where many of the more noble characteristics, like anava, in Yirat Shamayim, humility, in reverence or God-fearing, things that we work a whole lifetime to achieve, to acquire, these become so natural to him, second nature to him. Because the Torah imbues in him very lofty qualities as a result of his Torah being a pure Torah. So Torah Lishma is a pure Torah. It's a Torah without no politics, no personal agenda, no personal gain. He's teaching, he's learning not for any ulterior motive, simply for the sake of Hashem, for its ultimate purpose. Last week we began to learn the first Mishnah. It's a long Mishnah, so we pretty much stopped towards the end. And we saw the various positive consequences that will result to this individual who pursues this derech, this path of learning Torah Lishma. Obviously, he begins this chapter with this concept only because we're dealing with the perek called Kinyan Torah, the acquisition of Torah. If a person really wants to acquire Torah, that the Torah should impart on him its influence properly, then it has to be learned in the right way, in the right manner, and that's Torah Lishma. Now we're holding on another very important, I guess you can call it, acquisition, another gift that he receives as a result of his efforts, and that is v'notenet lo malchut u'memshala v'chikur din. So we're continuing on learning about the benefits that Torah Lishma will give the individual who's completely immersed in this Torah properly. It will give him, in addition to what we said before, malchut u'memshala v'chikur din. What's malchut? Malchut means sovereignty. Like king. Memshala, dominion. These are similar words, but they relate to different things. The chikur din has to do with judgment and a good analysis, and that relates to something completely different. So what's malchut memshala? What does it mean? It doesn't mean he becomes king. So what do the rabbis mean that the Torah Lishma gives the individual malchut memshala? As we said last week, there's certain titles like Re'ah ve'ahuv that this individual is given or he's called by Shamayim. But in Shamayim, they relate to people differently. Relating to an individual is not only when he's awake, how they relate to him, how they treat him, how they protect him. It's how they relate to him even in a dream. People who have clean thoughts, people who were involved in learning Torah a whole day, people who performed a great mitzvah, their dreams are purer. They are elevated to a higher realm in Shamayim during the night where they're able to see things that the average individual does not see. Because Bashamayim, they treat him differently. He has VIP. Right? Yeah, that's basically it. That's what it's all about. He's treated completely differently. So we're not even talking about the quality of Ruach HaKodesh, for example, that he has tremendous insights and visions, and he's able to perceive things better. Besides all that, Notenet lo malchut memshala is a very, very powerful concept. Malchut is a tremendous kavod gadol b'shamayim. He's like a melech, he's like a king. Well, so what? So they call him king. I mean, what comes out of it? One of the results of having such a title is that they very much consider what he says. So imagine if this individual who's learning Torah Lishma gives you a blessing. What do the rabbis tell us about a tzaddik who gives a blessing? Tzaddik gozer v'akadosh baruch hu mekayem. A tzaddik decrees, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu says amen. I agree, depending of course what the blessing is. And the zechut of that tzaddik, a person's mazal can change. That's called malchut. Only a king can do that. Only a king can do that. To be gozer and everybody listens to what he says, who does that? Just a king. So here, this individual is ba'olam hazeh in this world, and he's basically telling them what to do. But Hashem says, I'll gladly do what he says. He's my friend. As we said before, he has other titles, one of them being Re'ah. He's a friend of Hashem, a friend of Shamayim. The Malachim go, not only accompany him, they go to him if he calls them, if he needs them. They come to his help. That's called Malchut. Memshala, similarly, Dvarav mitkablim down here. His words are well received down here. As the rabbis tell us elsewhere, approximately the words are as follows: Kol mi sheyesh bo yirat shamayim, dvarav nishmaim, dvarav mitkablim. Whoever is God-fearing, a truly God-fearing person, when he says something, his words are heeded. People pay attention. He has a better chance of being effective in communicating a request or that his criticism is well received. He has yirat shamayim, and people are able to see this man is sincere. It's coming from his heart. It's coming from purity. It's not coming from just wanting to chastise us. So that's called memshala. Memshala, in other words, he has a little bit of control, not only over himself, as we said also, such an individual obviously is able to control himself. Such an individual whose character is very, very refined. But this is memshala over others. He can get others, he can convince others. He's able to say something, and his words will be well received. That is a tremendous ma'ala. And that comes from the yirat shamayim, or in this case, Torah Lishma. What else does memshala accomplish? Memshala means dominion. That means he dominates. To dominate creation. He has control. He basically has control over everything in this world to a certain extent. And the Torah tells us that when Am Yisrael, if the Jewish nation would really be on the highest level possible, was fulfilling the Torah, complying with the commandments, if they would be holy, then all the nations of the world will see that the name of God is upon you, and they will fear you. Imagine, everybody will fear you. Animals, of course, will fear you. Everybody, because you have the memshalah, you have the dominion, you have the control, which comes from what? Comes from kedusha, comes from holiness, comes from purity. In this case, comes from complete devotion to Torah, Torah Lishma. So look at all the benefits that such an individual is able to acquire. Incredible. Because of his very important elevated status, obviously, Malchut Memshalah, he has Shmirah. He does not only have protection from the elements that we are more familiar with, all kinds of elements, all kinds of things that happen to people. He has Shmirah, he also has protection from the Mazikim, from the demons. Why? Mazikim is something that you have to be very careful with. The rabbis speak pretty much at length about demons. Some people are surprised. Oh, Judaism talks about demons? Of course, quite a bit, especially in the Kabbalah. They exist. Some of them can hurt you. And there's certain precautions that we take in order to avoid, being in their way. That's just, without getting too much into the topic. So a person has to be careful with mazikim. One step beyond mazikim is the various kohot hatum'ah. There's various forces of impurity in this world, including witchcraft, kishupim. And they can also cause all kinds of harm. But we find in the Kabbalistic literature that any source of kedusha, any source of holiness that is a strong source of holiness, they cannot defeat. They actually stay away. They don't even try. There are many, many stories where somebody tried to do some kishuf to a very holy man, and of course, they did not succeed. And they went to ask the witch, what happened? She said, I have no power over him. Depending on, of course, that individual, depending on what he did, that, of course, brought about that kind of shemirah, protection on him. So we see that such an individual, when we say that it gives him malchut memshalah, it gives him complete sovereignty, dominion over just about everything else, including the demons, including all the kochot hatumah. They cannot harm him. In the same way that the kedusha is able to repel them, the same is true with Torah Lishma, which also emanates or comes from a similar source. Then we had Chikur Hadin. So Torah Lishma also gives this individual Chikur Hadin, the ability to analyze and understand not only halachot, not only Torah, but cases that come to him if he's a judge. He has a sharper perception, and he's able to analyze. Sometimes there's complicated halachot, complicated situations that are not written anywhere in the halakha, in Shulchan Aruch, in the Gemara. So how are we going to know what to do? There's a concept called Dat Torah. Dat Torah means the opinion of Torah, the perspective of the Torah. How does the Torah look at something? Even though it may not tell us black and white, literally, how to handle a particular situation, because it's not written anywhere down. When a person learns Torah Lishma, he absorbs the Torah. So when he gives his opinion, it's like the Torah giving an opinion. That's a very, very special zchut that not everybody merits. And think about it. Why shouldn't everybody who learns Torah have Da'at Torah? Because unfortunately, their minds, number one, is saturated with all kinds of other influences, all kinds of nonsense, shtuyot, TV, internet, novels that they read when they were teenagers, Shakespeare, etc. The mind has absorbed a lot of garbage. Yeah, garbage, and compared to Torah, it's all garbage. So can we trust that what this individual will tell us, his opinion about some halakha or some hashkafa in the Torah will be 100% true? Not necessarily. You know, because his mind has absorbed a lot of things. When a person is only involved in Torah, and he's not, of course, someone who seeks money or honors, he's sincere, completely sincere, God-fearing, works on his midot. Hashem blesses him, that his insight, that his opinions, that what he says will be correct, will be the dat of the Torah. It's similar to an individual going to a rabbi. Rabbi, can you give me advice what to do? Now, this rabbi has no clue. On his own, this is a question that he has really no clue what to tell him. At least he's not certain what to tell him. He might give him an opinion, but who's to say that that's the right opinion? Now, this particular rabbi perhaps doesn't have Ruach HaKodesh either, because he's an average person. How will this come out in the end? Will this person who's seeking advice be misled? The answer is no. If the person seeking the question is a good man or a good woman, then min hashamayim, they treat the rabbi like a channel, a tzinor. Since this individual will accept and take upon himself to do exactly what this rabbi will tell him to do, he's going to take his advice. And min hashamayim, they don't want him to trip, to make a mistake. This man who's seeking advice is a good man. They will use the rabbi, they will put it into his mind, whatever he will say will be the truth. As long as, of course, the two people are good people. If the two people are good, the rabbi doesn't really know. Doesn't know everything. And this individual is really sincere. He really plans to follow through. Hashem says, I'm not going to make him make a mistake unless he deserves to make a mistake. The person does not deserve a mistake, then the advice that he will receive will be the correct advice, mishamai. It's like opening up a book of Tehillim. If a person is worthy, I don't know what to do. He opens up a book of Tehillim, boom, he gets the answer there on the page. You have to know how to read the Tehillim to figure out the answer. But assuming you know how to read it, and you trust it, and you're a good man or woman, if that's the only recourse you have is to open up a book of Tehillim, it may happen. You'll get an answer from the Tehillim. So same thing with Da'at Torah. Da'at Torah is a blessing to those individuals who are completely immersed in the Torah, that what they express and the opinions that they give will reflect what the Torah would say. So Chikur Hadin, the ability to analyze the situation, enables the individual learning Torah Lishma to find solutions that are beyond anyone else. They couldn't think of it. There is a concept called poskim. An individual who learned halakha, but does not only know the halakha, he's able to use his knowledge in Gemara, his experience as well, plus his analysis, to be able to tell you what you should do in this situation. Okay? What do we do? Is the chicken kosher or taref? Well, that may be easier to render a decision, because depending on what you see, does it have any indication that the wing was broken? If the wing was it broken before the shechita, or was it broken after the shechita because they threw it together with the whole bunch, and then the wing broke? Because if the wing breaks before the shechita, it could perforate the lungs. The lungs are perforated, it's taref. So you need a good analytical mind to be able to figure out the answer to some complicated questions. And some questions are not so complicated, of course. So a posek is able to take all that information plus his analysis, which is called chikur din, investigate, research, and all that will lead him in the right path. Then, what else do we have? An additional benefit of Torah Lishma. Megalim lo razei Torah. This is so beautiful. Razei Torah, a person who learns Torah Lishma, they will reveal to him the mysteries, the secrets of Torah. Wow. How does that happen? David HaMelech says in Tehillim, if you recall, Gal Einai ve'abita niflaot mitoratecha. Hashem, open up my eyes. Gal Einai, open up my eyes. Expose my eyes so I can look into the mysteries of the Torah. Because the Torah has many, many secrets, mysteries. There are various layers. Pshat, Remez, Drush, Sod. Right? The simple, the more complex, the deeper, the esoteric, the Sodot, the Kabbalistic. So an individual who learns Torah does not necessarily see the deeper layers of Torah. He sees what's on the surface. He may learn a little bit what the commentaries say. But to gain additional insight, and there's so much more, there's a lot of depth in Torah, he will be able to discover it. Torah Lishma. He will be able to find additional insight, additional interpretations, ideas that nobody thought of. Sometimes you read a good book on the parasha, and he has a beautiful insight into the words. Nobody ever said that. Nobody ever told me that. I never learned it that way. Yeah, he was zocheh. He has some merit that Meshamayim, they revealed to him some idea. Now, there are ideas that are not necessarily correct or true or special. People just try to think up of something. That's fine, all right. As long as it does not contradict anything, it may be all right or acceptable. But sometimes the insight is special. Sometimes it is the truth. And that is what the Mekubalim say. There's a concept in Kabbalah that they say, Hu kiven la'emet. Here you have an individual learning something, or actually writing something, and he gives his opinion as to what the explanation of a mitzvah is. It just happens to be, he doesn't realize it, that his explanation turns out to be an explanation mentioned in the Kabbalah that he was totally unaware of. That is the real explanation. So when we say ukiven la'emet, it's because of his Torah Lishma, they helped him Meshamayim to figure out the real explanation. Which, how did he know? Where did he take it from? His rabbis didn't teach it to him. It's not written anywhere in the book. He would have had to look at the Kabbalah, and he doesn't learn Kabbalah. They say this about the Rambam, for example. The Rambam wrote things on his own. I mean, most of it is, of course, he has sources, but there were things that they didn't bring a source, which everybody complained about. But he wrote certain things with great clarity. And the Mekubalim said, Kiven la'emet. He, on his own, without even knowing that this was that what the Kabbalah was saying, was able to figure it out. Kiven la'emet, therefore, he was able to give the true interpretation or explanation of a particular mitzvah or a particular halakha. So when a person is given this koach, this gift of being able to see deeper into the Torah, it's not only the mysteries or the secrets that he will see, it will also enable him to have a better havana, a better understanding of that which everybody learns, but does not necessarily have as good as an understanding as he does. To him it's so clear. To him it's a lot deeper. It's richer. And all of this because of the Torah Lishma, that he's able to delve deeper and deeper. Now, if you're wondering what's the reason for giving him this gift, I saw a beautiful explanation by Rabbi Tzadok Milublin. He says, you know why they reveal to him secrets? If you love the Torah is telling you, I love you too. And if you like somebody, you share your secrets with them. Nice interpretation. You love the Torah says, I love you too. And I will share with you a lot of what I have to share. Next, what else does he, if you think that's it? No, there's more. You know what's interesting about all of this? There's a whole list of acquisitions, let's call them, things that a person can benefit from learning Torah Lishma. And if anybody were to just learn Perek Shishi on his own, as many people do during this time of the year, they rush through it. Oh, okay, he gets this, he gets this, he gets this. What we're doing right now is actually taking apart every one of those. Most people don't do this. What does Chikur Adin mean? What does Malchut mean? What does Memshala mean? Dominions and sovereignty. What does that mean? Once we begin to understand, we see, wow, look at all the koach. Look at all that he acquires. This is incredible. And we begin to appreciate the Torah, we begin to appreciate the big Torah leaders who had all of this. And when you think about it, you say to yourself, look at the Nazis, the Romans, all those who went after the Jews to destroy the Torah, to take it away from them. Look what they did. They were trying to take away that which is the most special. They don't even know themselves what this is. That they were destroying it, burning it down, right? Burning shuls. They don't know what they did. They have no idea. We know what it is. Hopefully we know. I wish everybody would know. So that's why it's important to learn this. Look at what this does. What is nasa kemayana mitgaberu chenahar sheno posek? So the translation of the words means that when one learns Torah Lishma, he becomes like a spring, mayan. Hamitgabera is always flowing, always overflowing, always more and more water coming in. Uchenahar sheno posek, and like a river that never stops. Some rivers stop, you know. Why? Because many, many rivers get their water from glaciers, a snow accumulation. And once it's finished, melted, the river dries up if there's no more rain. Where is the water coming from? Right? Many of the big rivers have continuous flow because there's enough rain somewhere to feed the waters of the river. But there are places where you see a river all of a sudden for a month, and after that you don't see it anymore. Right? So here you have this individual who's like an overflowing Mayan, spring, and like a river that never stops. What does this mean? In the Gemara you find the terms, two terms that describe two types of big rabbis. One is called a Sinai and one is called Oker Harim. A Sinai is an individual who has an encyclopedic knowledge. He knows a lot and he knows it by heart. Beautiful. He has a great memory. Very good, very nice, very important that we can count on him, that we can ask him in case we don't have a book or two. He knows where everything is written. He knows the sources, he knows where everything is, he knows the halacha, because he remembers everything. But then there's another individual who's called Oker Harim. He uproots mountains. To uproot mountains is an ability, is an exceptional ability of being able to analyze, to compare, to reach conclusions based on a tremendous amount of knowledge, of course, but being able to make sense of all of that, especially when trying to figure out a complex issue, whether it's in the Gemara or in Halacha, in trying to figure out how do we reconcile differences here, what do we do this, how about this contradiction, wait a minute, can we say this, but perhaps this is not right because there's something else that opposes this, or there's another rabbi that has a different opinion. And Hoker Harim is an individual who has that acumen, that analytical capability of being able to grasp all of that and sort through everything, make a seder, an order, clarify it, and reach an opinion or a conclusion from this whole, I don't want to call it mess, chas v'shalom, from this whole, all these sources that, are either, may appear contradictory or come from different opinions, So that's called Oker Harim. We've always had individuals like that and individuals like that. Very few people are both. You either have somebody who's very, very knowledgeable, knows a lot, and he probably and possibly remembers everything too, It's a beautiful gift. And you have another individual who doesn't know as much as the other one does. He knows, of course he knows, but not close as much as the other one. But he has tremendous brain power. But it's not just brain power, it's being able to rationalize, explain, analyze. You understand what I'm talking about, right? To be able to figure out, what is the halakha here? The other one may not have that ability. He can give him all the encyclopedia, he can give him everything, but he's not as strong, he's not as sharp. So Ma'ayana Mitgaber is like an Oker Harim, Nahar Sheno Posek is like Sinai. In other words, he always has. He always has knowledge, doesn't stop. Perhaps we can compare it to these two, that the rabbis are telling here is that when one learns Lishma, he's able to achieve both. Not one, both. Yes, Avot.
I just wanted to say that Siyata Dishmaya is invoked too.
Of course, all of this is Siyata Dishmaya, receiving help from above. That's what it's telling us. How is this help from above coming about? It's expressing itself in all kinds of things that he gets. He gets protection, he gets more insight, right? Tremendous. So here, an individual who learns Torah Lishma is able to be a Hoker Harim and a Sinai, both. In being able to acquire a lot of knowledge, remember it, and also, if necessary, be able to analyze it and use it, in all kinds of situations. Next, והבט צנוע וערך רוח ומוחל על עלבונו. Beautiful characteristics that such an individual, you might think, wow, he's so great, he's so knowledgeable, he's reached great heights. He could easily become arrogant. He could easily become not tolerant of people who know less than him. He can easily make fun of those who are not even close to what he is. No. Torah Lishma, if a person has really learned Torah Lishma, he will avoid any potential of being any one of those. It is very possible for somebody to become arrogant. Somebody that was poor yesterday, today he won the lottery. Now what does the lottery mean? I'm talking about the big one. $350 million after taxes. All right, he has a lot of money. He's going to become a big shot. Possibly. Right? It's normal. Human nature. He has a lot. Or he got a very high prestigious job. People can become arrogant. Yeah, the Torah says so. V'ram levavecha v'shachachta, Hashem Elokecha. Your heart may become haughty, arrogant, and you will forget about God. So here, the rabbis tell us such an individual, no. Hevet tzanua, he will be modest. He will not show off. That shows Torah Lishma. See, that's how you know it's Torah Lishma, because he's not becoming that. Ve'erech ruach, and he will be tolerant of others' mistakes. People make mistakes. People don't know as much as him. They're not as knowledgeable. He'll be tolerant with them. He will teach them. He will help them. I saw somebody explain what's the difference between erech ruach and erech apayim. The term that we usually see is erech apayim, tolerant. Hashem is tolerant. Erech apayim for a human being, however, could mean that a person is upset, but he just holds it in. He's tolerant. Says, okay, I look back, I look away. I'm erech apayim, I'm tolerant of your mistakes, but upset. Erech ruach perhaps means that the person is not even bothered by it. He's not even affected by it. He's completely tolerant and understanding. In other words, in some ways it's at a higher level than erech apayim. That is for you. I'm talking about humans right now. So he's a tolerant person. And he's forgiving on people who shame him or embarrass him. What does that mean? That he's not even makpid on his kavod, where some people on his level would. He's not makpid on his honor. All of this is indicative that this person learned Torah Lishma. All of this shows beyond any doubt that his Torah is pure because he's not becoming like those individuals that, what others would become, arrogant and so forth. And now we've reached the last characteristic, which I think is one of the most beautiful too, and very much not understood. And that is meromamto, megadalto, meromamto al kol ha'ma'asim. Torah Lishma will elevate him and put him on top of all the ma'asim in the world, over all other things in this world. What does that mean? So before we get to that, let me share with you a story of a story that is brought down with the Chafetz Chaim during the time of the Chafetz Chaim. There was an individual, Talmid Chacham, a very learned man, who was having a hard time finding a shidduch, getting married. He was very picky. And when one of the Shatchanim asked him, listen, why are you so picky? He would say, listen, I'm handsome, I'm smart, and I have money. That's what he said. And because of that, he wanted something special. So the Shatchan got very upset at him. He says, listen, you're not going to find anyone that's good enough for you. I therefore recommend that you go to the yeshiva of the Chafetz Chaim for a little while and that you learn humbleness. Once you become a humble man, I'll be able to suggest a nice girl for you. Because right now, no matter who I suggest to you, lo maspik tov, it won't be good enough for you. Handsome, wealthy, smart. So, but he agreed. He agreed and he went to the yeshiva for a while. So he comes back, and now the Shatchan suggests one of the same girls he suggested last time. And he begins to yell at him, this young man. You're suggesting the same girl from last time. You don't understand. Now, I'm handsome, I'm rich, I'm smart, and I'm humble too. So how could you suggest the same? That's not the humbleness we're talking about. A person has to change completely inside. So otherwise it's not Torah Lishma. When a person reaches Torah Lishma, megadalto meromamto al kol ha'ma'asim. What that will do is that it will elevate him above everything else. And to be elevated means several things. It not only means that he will become a more elevated person, in other words, that he will have acquired all these good qualities, that he has all the good qualities. It also means, at least I interpret it this way, that it elevates him above the mazal. And we will see that in the next Mishnah. There's a certain connection to another idea in the second Mishnah that also pretty much goes along with this. That such an individual is able to free himself, is able to be elevated even above mazal. Because mazal, it pretty much ties us down. Everybody has his certain fate, destiny. But Torah Lishma, if his blessings can come true, then for sure he can become elevated al kol ha'ma'asim, on everything else, including mazal. However, the commentaries explain very nicely here that, and this is a problem, especially in our generation, that a lot of people, a lot of parents think that, they're going to be happy if the son becomes a lawyer, if he's going to become a famous doctor, he's going to become a scientist, right? General in the army, or some successful CEO of a big company. The Mishnah is telling us over here is that the person who learned Torah Lishma meromamto megadalto al kol ha'ma'asim. This is the ultimate career. This is the ultimate position, the highest position of all, more than anything else. So don't think anything else is more than this. On the contrary, this is more than anything else. So this is also very true. I mean, that is the right definition, an additional interpretation of these words, Meroman Tol. Kol ma'asim. There's a lot of ma'asim, yes, a lot of good things. People do all kinds of things. They contribute to society in more than one way. But this, Torah Lishma, Migadaltum Meroman Tol, Kol ma'asim, above the mazal, above everybody else, that was above all the midot, it's an accomplishment that is greater than any other accomplishment. That's a very, very important achievement. Nice way of finishing this Mishnah. Look at what Torah does. Don't underestimate its koach. It has tremendous koach, and it elevates a person to the highest positions of all. Next Mishnah. This is a shorter Mishnah, but not that much shorter, but a very, very important Mishnah that continues to deal with Torah. We're going away now from Torah Lishma, and even just focusing on regular Torah. Just plain Torah, just the study of Torah. אמר רבי יהושע בן לוי, בכל יום ויום בת קול יוצאת מהר חורב ומכרזת ואומרת, אוי להם לבריות מעלבונה של תורה. So this is another Mishnah. The people run through it, and they interpret it, okay, every day there's a heavenly voice that comes out from Chorev. Chorev is Har Sinai, and announces, woe to all these people who are putting the Torah to shame. This is approximately the translation of the words. Woe to all the people, to all the Jews, who are putting the Torah to shame. What does that mean? It means that they're not learning Torah. Obviously, that's one meaning. That because of that, the Torah is like put to shame in the corner. People are spending more time on the internet than learning Torah. People are spending more time, doing all kinds of things and not learning. All that puts the Torah to shame. It's embarrassing. But there's a lot more going on over here, this Mishnah, than just this. What does it mean, a heavenly voice that comes out from Chorev? Why does it all of a sudden Har Sinai called Har Chorev? Right? Har Chorev is Har Sinai, even though it is another name given to Har Sinai. It's interesting that here the Tanai used this term to call Har Sinai Har Chorev. Well, today, you could say, today it's not Sinai, today it's Chorev. But Chorev also means empty, barren. And it was a barren mountain. But it's barren if nobody learns Torah. So perhaps the reason why here the term Chorev is being used, barren versus Har Sinai, is to emphasize how barren the Torah is, in a sense, how barren Sinai is if the Jewish people are not learning enough Torah. So this we need to understand. What does it mean a heavenly voice comes out? Every day. If you remember in Parshat Yitro, there was a very powerful sound, the shofar, that came out. Right, when Hashem was about to speak, the sound of the shofar emanated, came out strongly, and didn't stop. Velo pasak, velo yasaf. And one interpretation of those words that it didn't stop, meaning that it's still echoing till today. Adayin mehadhed ad hayom hazeh. So the echo of Hashem's words, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, and all the other dibrot that that Hashem said, are still echoing. Okay, are still echoing. We're going to find out why in a moment. But the fact that those words are still echoing, it means that the Torah is still demanding of us what it demanded of us then. So, why is that such a big deal? It's a big deal because back then we said Na'aseh v'nishma. We agreed. We signed the contract. And all of a sudden we breach the contract, Chas v'shalom. All of a sudden we don't show respect. So that continuous voice reverberating, or sound, reverberating throughout all the generations, is intended to remind the Jew of his commitment, of his promise. So it's a bat kol, a heavenly voice, but it's only a bat kol, an echo. An echo is not the original, right? An echo is after the original came, you hear an echo from the canyon, right? From the mountains of the canyon. It bounces back. So there is a continuous voice. It's not as strong as the original, but there's something there. There's something there that's still going out and reverberating, and not everybody's paying attention. And what is this voice saying? Oy lahem labriyot me'elbona shel Torah. In other words, that this voice, this heavenly voice, is very concerned more than anything else, because that's what it's talking about. How come not enough people are learning Torah? Those who can should be learning more. Those who don't should be learning as much as they can. Why so much about Torah more than anything else? What about Chilul Shabbat? Why don't we hear a voice? Oy lahem labriot. So you could say, and you wouldn't be wrong, that the Elbon of Torah could be referring to anything in the Torah that is not being kept. Yes. But the main emphasis here, in this Perek, and we see it in other areas of Chazal, is on the learning of Torah. The learning of Torah is given a tremendous amount of attention. You're not allowed to leave a shiur Torah just for anything outside. It's a very, very sensitive thing. Rabbi tells Talmud Torah keneged kula. We say it in the morning prayers, in one of the Mishnayot, that the mitzvah of learning Torah is keneged kula, weighs as much as everything else. Why so much? So apparently what we're seeing here is that more than anything else, the Torah is, the lack of learning Torah, or the bitul Torah, is being pointed out to us over here, more than anything else, through a heavenly voice. Why is that? So there is a Yerushalmi, I believe it's written in the Yerushalmi, that says like this: Hashem says, I wouldn't have minded as much if all the Jews abandoned all the mitzvot, but they still learned Torah. Incredible. Wow. I wouldn't have minded as much, Hashem says, if they would have not fulfilled all the mitzvot, but would have still kept on learning Torah. Why? Because the light of the Torah will eventually bring them back. If a Jew learns Torah, even if he's made mistakes, he'll come back. Same thing is with Shabbat, by the way. Shabbat is powerful. So a Jew starts keeping all kinds of things, but he keeps Shabbat. Shabbat has a certain amount of light in Kedusha that will bring him back. But Torah even more so. The Torah has tremendous light. Besides protection, besides all the merit and reward that he will get, besides the halachot that he needs to learn, there's light. There's a certain energy there that will direct him back to where he needs to be. So Hashem says, if you let go of the Torah, how are you going to come back? How do people come back today? Well, first they get, of course, shocked. Or they realize something is wrong in their life, or they're empty, but then they don't know what to do. They're still not sure. They're not convinced. They don't have the strength to make a U-turn. Once they sit and they learn Torah and they see the beauty of it with an open mind, how come I didn't know this before? How come they deprived this of me? Right? That Torah brings them back. So Hashem says, you see why I'm upset if you don't learn Torah? Because that's the only recourse that you have that will bring you back. Without that, how are you going to come back? I have to hit you over the head, chas v'shalom, and then, hopefully, you begin to ask questions. Now the Mishnah continues. Shekol mi she'eno osek b'Torah nikra nazuf. And whoever does not learn the Torah will be called nazuf. Nazuf means like he's excommunicated. He's not wanted. Or as we say in the lingo of diplomacy, persona non grata. Yeah. Upstairs they don't care about him. Lo mityachasim elav. They don't pay attention to him. He prays, they don't listen to his prayer. That's what nazuf means. A person can receive a nezifah from a rabbi for having done some terrible things. Some rabbis, they have the power, nidui, nazuf, nesifai, is similar. It's like it's a lighter form of excommunication. A person who does not learn Torah, there's a kitrug on him, it's an accusation on him. Especially if he can, why don't you? So he's called nazuf. Shene'emar nezem zahav be'af chazir isha yafa b'saratam. So he mentions here the pasuk in Mishlei, imagine a gold ring, beautiful gold ring, 24 carats. Where is it sitting on? The snout of a pig. Chavar. That snout of the pig, you know where it goes? You know where the snout goes? Bashpot. In the trash. You're going to take that gift, a beautiful gift, and put it in the trash? You're going to misuse it or not use it? It's going to sit there? So it's like, what's Nezim Zav Chazir? Isha Yafa V'Saratam. Imagine a beautiful woman. She has beauty. But she's Saratam. She's not modest. She has no good taste. In other words, she's not conducting herself properly. Look, chavar, all that beauty going to waste, all that beauty being misused. Same thing with the nezim zahav, be'af chazir. Same thing with somebody who has the Torah. Hashem gave it to him, the Torah, and does not use it, or spends his time in the wrong places. So therefore, a person who learned Torah and left it, abandoned it, in some ways is even worse than one who never learned Torah, because it shows bizayon la Torah. It shows complete disrespect. That's called kidvar Hashem bazah. How could you be so disrespectful? You've learned the Torah and you let go of it? That is the worst of all. The fact that it says here, B'chol yom vayom, bat kol yotzet mechorev, every single day, what this means is that every day they're waiting for the Jew to come back.
No.
Yeah. Should be a little bit more time.
Yeah.
The fact that it says Bechol Yom means that every single day they're actually waiting for the person. They're sending him signals, signs of all kinds. But he doesn't pay attention, so the Baal Shem Tov asks a very good question. Bat Kol comes out, a heavenly voice. Why? Nobody listens. Why should it come out? Right? Why should it come out? And if it does come out, why doesn't everybody hear it? In other words, why have it come out if nobody hears it? And if it comes out, why doesn't everybody hear it? You follow the question? Why does it come out if nobody hears it? And if it does come out, why doesn't everybody hear it? So Baal Shem Tov says, B'chol yom v'yom hirhurei tshuva ovrim al adam. The reality is that the neshama has thoughts of doing teshuvah every day. It just doesn't stop to reflect on those thoughts. So that heavenly voice, in fact, is causing thoughts of repentance in the neshama every single day. He just doesn't stop. In other words, it is there for a reason. He can, if he chooses to, stop and listen to that voice. But he chooses not to. So it's not that he can't. He can listen to it, because this voice is causing hirhurei tshuva, that people are regretful, remorseful, low-key, and if he would really stop himself, he would be able to hear that voice talking to him. Come on, get up, wake up, time is running out. And this happens on a daily basis. And the reason why this is so important, obviously, that Hashem expects of us to make a change, is because our whole success in life depends on this. Rabbis tell us, imagine, after we go upstairs, they'll ask us, Kavata itim la Torah. Did you set aside time for Torah? Why? Why is that so important that we set aside time? Because they will show us a movie of our life. And then we will see some very uncomfortable scenes where we did not act right. And see, they will point out, had you learned Torah 15 minutes a day, this wouldn't have happened. You wouldn't have reacted that way. You wouldn't have conducted yourself that way. You wouldn't have cheated, you wouldn't have lied, whatever. You wouldn't have gotten divorced. Had there been Torah in your life, it would have been completely different. So that is why they're concerned about it. Our whole success depends on this. Besides that, we know that the Torah is called a Sam Chaim. It's a potion of life. It's the greatest, most powerful medicine. How many people today are depressed, going to psychologists or psychiatrists, have all kinds of troubles affecting them? If they had Torah, they wouldn't be as affected. Not as, unless of course it's a medical problem, right? They wouldn't be as affected. The Torah would help them. That is why the Gemara says if a person sees all kinds of pain and suffering afflicting him, and he couldn't find the sin that's responsible for it, yitle bebitul Torah, then he could assume, there's a good chance, that it's because he stopped learning Torah, or he's not learning as much Torah. Hashem says, you're not learning as much Torah, I'm going to give you all the other troubles and worries that people have, that you wouldn't have had you been learning Torah. I'm not going to give you all the trouble. You have a burden of Torah. I'm going to give you more burdens? No. You already have enough of a burden, the burden of Torah. But if you don't want that burden, I give you other burdens. Anyway, unfortunately, not everyone understands this. And there was a story brought down of two brothers, one who was rich, one who was poor. The rich brother always helped his poor brother out. And one day he tells his poor brother, listen, I don't want to just help you out with money. I think you're capable of starting a business on your own. I'm going to give you some money to start a business like this. I don't have to help you, stand on your own 2 feet. This poor brother was learning Torah the whole time. He was very successful in his Torah. And, he couldn't succeed so much in business until the brother offered him to give him some down payment or whatever for a business. Sure enough, after a while, this poor brother who was learning Torah all the time succeeded in the business with the money he got. So his rich brother came to visit him after a while. He said, Baruch Hashem, I see you're doing well. You Baruch Hashem, picked yourself up. You're on your own. How's your Torah learning now? So the poor brother who became rich said, Torah? Had I still been learning Torah, I wouldn't have become so wealthy like this. As soon as he said that, he got a stroke. As soon as he said those words, that had I still been learning Torah, I wouldn't have become so wealthy, he got a stroke. He was laying in bed. Doctors were called. Nobody could help him. And he tells everybody, don't try to help me because I already heard a heavenly voice from the Torah talking to me. Because you put me to shame, you're not getting out of this bed. You're not going to get out of bed because you put the Torah to shame by claiming that the Torah does not make people wealthy. Unfortunately, he didn't catch himself. He was a learned person. He let go of the Torah. Had he said, I feel terrible that I cannot continue with my shiurim, then they wouldn't have been so upset at him. But to say, had I still been learning, I wouldn't have been where I am, that was very disrespectful of the Torah. So we see that the Mishamayim, they're very upset at people who were learning, originally learning, and they stopped learning. That's even worse than one who doesn't learn. But either way, one who can and does not, they're very upset at him. So just to finish up the perek here, Ve'omer, the pasuk continues on to say, you think the Torah is just anything, a body of knowledge, another book? No, ve'luchot ma'aseh Elohim hema v'michtav michtav Elohim hu charut ala luchot. You know what we're talking about? We're talking about the tablets here. We're talking about the Torah that was given on tablets. These tablets were Maaseh Elohim. Hashem fashioned them. You know what? This Torah was not made up by Moses. This Torah was given by Hashem. Hashem fashioned it. So therefore it's special to him. If he fashioned, he didn't hire somebody else to do it for him. Hashem could have said, you know what, Moshe, like the second one, go take some stones from this mountain and make a tablet. No. The first one, the first sets, or even the second set, the words themselves, HaMichtav Michtav Elokim Hu, Charut ala Luchot, engraved on the Luchot. So this is not just something, anything, this is God, this is divine, this is not just any book. How could you just say, I'm going to put it away in the Aron Kodesh in a museum, or somewhere, part of our heritage. No, this is, Hashem fashioned it, Hashem put it together, that means it's special to him. Charut ala luchot, it's engraved on the tablets. Al tikre charut ela cherut. But charut can also be read cherut. You know what that means? If you follow the Torah, it will give you freedom. This is so powerful because a lot of people think, if I keep Torah, it's so heavy, I can't go to the beach on Shabbat and enjoy myself. The Torah is so heavy and burdensome. The Torah gives you freedom, it doesn't make you a slave. It means you will be free from the mazal. It will mean you will be free from the yetzer hara. You will be free of all sorts of troubles and ills that would affect other people. If anything, HaTorah meshachreret. The Torah liberates. It doesn't put a burden like people think. Oh, it's so heavy. I have to do this. I have to do this. On the contrary, if you follow the Torah, it will liberate you from many, many more things that you don't even imagine. So al tikreh harut el harut. All these words that are engraved in the Torah, ultimately, they're not heavy. They liberate you. She'en lecha ben chorin ela mi she'oseh betalmud Torah. The only true free man is the person who learns Torah. V'chol mi she'oseh b'Torah tadir. And whoever learns Torah on a regular basis, harei ze mit'aleh, he will be elevated. As it says in the pasuk shene'emar u'mematana nachliel u'menachliel bamot. As we read there in Sefer Bamidbar, the rabbis interpret that pasuk to mean that if a person makes himself like a desert where he is willing to be humble and work hard to acquire Torah, the Torah will be given to him b'matana. Even though these are all names of places where they traveled, the interpretation, the drush is that the Torah will be given to him as a gift. And that gift eventually will be Nachliel, will become like an inheritance to him, part of him. Nachliel bamot. And from Nachliel he will rise to the greatest heights. So from all those words that are stations in the desert where Am Yisrael passed, the drasha is the step by step. If a person works himself up, the Torah is given to him as a Yerusha, as a Nachala. And that of course elevates him to greatest heights. So Arei ze mit'aleh, he will be elevated. What does it mean to be elevated? Even if he was born with a mind that is not so sharp. Some people are not sharp. Some people are not so smart. The Torah will be ma'alehim. Even kids who are not so smart, who were exposed to Torah and they tried hard, they eventually became very, very knowledgeable. How could that be? Their mind is not capable. They were weak. No, with the Torah, harei ze mit'aleh. And last but not least, let us not forget that the Torah is not just like any other ma'ala. A person, let's say, does not know how to play piano. And this one does know how to play piano. So you say, oh, that guy has a tremendous skill, and this guy has no skills? No. The one who knows, good for him. The one who doesn't know, it's okay. You don't have to know how to play piano. The one who knows piano, he has skill. But the one who doesn't know, is he a loser? No. But with Torah, it's different. Torah is not just like any skill or ma'ala. If you have it, you're elevated. If you're not, chas v'shalom, you're down. That's the difference between Torah and everything else. Torah is not just an ordinary skill that either you have, okay, I don't have it. No, you can't afford not to have it. If you have that, harei ze mit'aleh. If not, chas v'shalom, a person goes down, he loses so much. And ultimately, we are reminded here that this luchot, this michtav Elokim, besides being something that is divine, it's so special that if a person learns the Torah properly, he doesn't have to do research on the veracity, whether there is a God or not, or whether this is true or not. A lot of people do a lot of investigations and research and try to determine the true religion. Is this true? Is this not true? Does God exist? This, Big Bang, all this. You know, they're going to search all their life and it won't be easy to figure it out. It's possible. But here he's telling us there's one more very important idea, and with this we'll finish. Michtav Elokim, don't forget, this is a divine book. It's so full of divinity. It's all words of God that if you learn this alone, you won't need all the research. The Torah will reveal to you the truth. In other words, a person who learns Torah does not need to know all the research there is, even though it's good to know. It's good to see the beauty and the harmony and all the great knowledge there is in the world. But just by learning Torah itself, and I've said this before, if anybody would just sit and learn Torah by itself from one end to the other, halacha, chumash, midrash, kabbalah, zohar, everything, he will be very, very impressed. But besides being impressed after learning all of it, here the rabbis are telling us there's enough information in the Torah alone that if one learns it with the right attitude, the Torah will reveal in B'ezrat Hashem the truth. Thanks.